Hello and welcome to the Manifesting Miracles show. I believe we are live. So if you can see me, if you can hear me, let me know in the comments. All right, I think we're live. Welcome. If you can hear me, if you can see me, let me know in the comments. We should be live on Facebook, on the fan page, my Facebook fan page, my Facebook group, Manifesting Miracles Facebook group, and YouTube at Andrea Lang Official on YouTube. So welcome to today's show, and let me know if you can hear me in the comments. Let me know if you can see me. I'm going to check to make sure that we're live. Let me know if it's showing up. All right, it looks like it is showing up. All right. And let me know my sound. Let me know how my sound is. So everything looks good. So let's get started. So I'm very excited about today's show because today we're going to share all about subconscious automatic programs. So I really wanted to do this live because it's the subconscious automatic programs. It's the very subtle that disconnects us from that version of self that has the dream, that has the healing, that has the purpose work, the passionate lover, the wealth. It's very subtle. So I wanted to bring some light to these subconscious automatic programs today and share how becoming aware and gaining sovereignty gives us the choice to show up as a different version of self. Because ultimately, the way that this works is when I'm showing up as a different version of Andrea, as a Andrea that's more confident, more trusting in self, more compassionate with self and with others, more loving with myself, more in joy, in peace, in stillness. When I'm showing up as that version of Andrea and I'm responding from that energy, that's what's co-creating with the universe, with the hologram, the illusion, the 3D illusion, to give me, or I don't know if give me is the right word, but to be the witness, to a higher frequency timeline or a higher vibrational timeline. Because there's infinite timelines that exist in this now moment. Everything's already been created. Everything's already been done. So there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. You're here on Earth to master energy, to master who you're being, to raise your consciousness, to raise your level of consciousness and expand into a higher, more coherent, more authentic, more loving, more compassionate, more peaceful, more trusting version of self. So from what I've witnessed, and I've helped over 100 people now with this work, and from having my own spontaneous healing, my own massive life-altering transformation where I released 40 pounds, healed from my severe scoliosis, broke free from 3 addictions, healed severe codependency, binging, food addiction, sex addiction, traveled the world, started doing my purpose work. My first year with my purpose work, I did over 6 figures. My first year with my purpose work. So how all this happened and how I've helped over 100 people now with this is by showing up differently in each moment, especially the moments when nobody's looking. That's when somebody's true colors come out, you could say, however you want to say it. That's when there's no pressure. There's no one looking. So, and you could call this the shadow self or the secret self. There's all kinds of words for this. It's the ability, it's the sovereignty to show up in alignment with your heart's desires. So if my heart's desire is to be that version of me who's grateful, deeply grateful, who's in love with life, who is courageous, who is confident, who is trusting in myself, who feels safe with myself, then I have to become aware of what it is that I'm doing that's blocking or not allowing that version of me to show up. I have to become aware of what subconscious automatic programs are creating the disconnect between me and my future self or higher self, however you want to say it. I like to say future self version of me, just because it's easier for the mind to wrap around that. So there's a version of me who has the healing, who has the purpose work, who has the passionate lover, who has the travel, the adventure, the wealth. Everything already exists. It's all been created. It's all done. And yes, it's in this now moment. It's in this now moment. Linearly, if we look at this linearly, it might take me 30 years to get there. If I look at it in a linear, non-dimensional way, it might take me 30 years to go through the therapy, to go through the mindset work, to go through the healing, to go through all these different ways to become that version of me. The great thing with this work is that this work is all about stepping out of the horizontal dimension, which is the dimension of people, places, things, and it's coming into the vertical dimension, which is the dimension of source, spirit, oneness, the universe, God, however you want to call it. And it's from that place that we can transcend this third dimensional reality, meaning I no longer play by the 3D rules. It doesn't take me 40 years or 30 years or 20 years to become that future self version of me. I can collapse time and space and experience that future self version of me now and this moment by doing the work, by embodying the work, by going all in on the energy work, everything that I teach. And that's exactly what I experienced. And that's what I've helped over 100 people do. So how do we collapse that time and space and step into the vertical dimension so that we can transcend the past self, transcend an old way of being? It's very simple. This work is very simple. The deeper I go in this work, the simpler it is. I realize, wow, it's very simple, and it just becomes more simple the deeper I go. It's expanding my awareness. That's how I did it, expanding my awareness. So me being the people pleaser that I was, and this was subconscious, I didn't know that I was people pleasing. Me being the codependent that I was, the abandoning of self over and over and over and over again, to the point where I gained all this weight. I was over 40 pounds overweight. And I was about to have a heart attack because my cholesterol was so high. I was in my 30s, mid-30s. So all these little subconscious automatic programs, ways of being, created so much dis-ease in my body that I got dis-ease. I had 3 addictions, scoliosis, high cholesterol. So it was the becoming aware of these ways of being that was abandoning myself, disconnecting from myself, not fulfilling my own needs. So I don't want to say all, but most of my needs went unmet. And when I mean needs, I mean being present with myself, spending time with myself, taking care of myself. This is how the self feels loved. The self feels loved through presence with self, through time with self, connection with self is how the self feels loved. And you can call this the inner child, the self, the inner child. So the first step is awareness, because most of these subconscious automatic programs are deeply subconscious. The person has no idea that they're a people pleaser. The person has no idea that they're codependent. The person has no idea that they're abandoning themselves over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. They just think that they're skipping a workout because they don't have time. They just think that they're not going to eat what they know they should be eating today because they're on a crunch for time, or it's not convenient. It's not. There's all these excuses. But what's under the excuses is a subconscious automatic program that's running unchecked. People pleasing, codependency, not being able to say no, not setting boundaries. And the interesting thing about these subconscious automatic programs is the longer they go unlooked at, the longer they're in the shadow, the more they grow and they grow and they grow and they grow, and the person gets sick. The person has a crisis. The person, there's an emergency that shows up. They have a breakup. They lose everything. There's a disaster. And that's the gift from the universe to stop the subconscious automatic program and to go within to look and see what is going on, what's really happening here, what's going on. Because if it wasn't for the crisis, if it wasn't for the breakdown, the illness, the disease, how would the person know? How would the person know that there's something out of alignment? That there's a disconnect? So these are all opportunities to see, who am I being that's attracting the disease, the illness, the disaster, the breakdown, the meltdown? Am I being a people pleaser? Am I being codependent? Am I being boundaryless? Do I have no boundaries? Just let people run all over me? Am I abandoning myself to take care of somebody? Am I putting my own needs aside to take care of somebody else's needs so that I can get validation, so that I can get love, so that I can get approval, so that I can get fill in the blank? It's so fascinating with these subconscious automatic programs, because what keeps them running is a false sense of security, a false sense of safety. So if I abandon myself to fulfill your needs, to make you feel better, to soothe you, to fix you, to caretake you, then I will receive love from you. Then I will receive acceptance from you. Then I will receive validation from you. So it's a very subtle, covert way to try and fulfill one's own needs. It's very subtle. It's so subtle. It's that little, somebody asks, hey, will you help me with this? And deep down inside, you're like, oh, I really don't want to help with that. I really want to go to the gym, or I really want to read a book and relax, or I really want to go for a walk. But instead of saying no, the person says, yes, I'll help you. So it's not coming from an energy of my cup runneth over. I'm joyful, I'm fulfilled, I'm abundant in helping you. It's coming from an energy of, why did I say that when I really meant to say this? It's coming from resentment. It's coming from guilt. It's coming from shame. It's coming from a different frequency, a different energy. And it's the energy that we move in, that we are. It's who we be that's creating reality. So by me saying yes when I really meant to say no, and now I'm resentful, now I'm in guilt, now I'm in shame because I abandoned myself again. I'm not doing what my heart is calling me to do. I'm not fulfilling my own needs. That energy comes back to me in the form of some kind of disease, because the body is in disease. Or I get some kind of weird thing that shows up in the 3D reality. I get some kind of unexpected situation, this crisis, breakdown. something will show up, and it could be in that moment. But the universe, the reality, the 3D reality is simply mirroring back to me who I'm being. And the universe is challenging me and stretching me and playing with me to be a more authentic version of me in each moment. So that version of me that's more authentic doesn't do something from a place of resentment. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be perfect or that I'm perfect. I'm nowhere near perfect, and you don't have to be perfect either. You will constantly be expanding. You will constantly be evolving. There's always another higher version of you. Always. It's infinite. You are the universe. The universe is infinitely expanding. So it's going to always come back to falling in love with the journey, falling in love with the process, falling in love with saying no, falling in love with setting boundaries, falling in love with no longer people pleasing, no longer having to fix others' emotions, soothe others, giving people their power back, trusting that they are empowered, that they're in their power to fulfill their own needs, to have the emotional intelligence to soothe the self. And it's living from an empowered energy and no longer a victim energy. That's what creates the massive transformation, the massive result, the healing. The purpose work takes off. The passionate lover shows up. The wealth, you attract wealth. It's by dissolving little by little these subtle, subconscious, automatic programs, these very subtle ways of being that do not serve you, that do not serve you. It's you who is producing the hologram. It's you who is producing your own unique universe. It's you. It's nobody else. It's nothing outside of you. It's you. When I realized this, when I embodied this, my entire life transformed. And I've helped over 100 people with this. So I want to leave you with that. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. Thank you for showing up. If you just joined us, go back and watch the whole live. The replay will be available after I end this live. And if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, it's Andrea Lang Official. My Facebook fan page, which is Andrea Lang, and the Manifesting Miracles Facebook group. Also follow me on Instagram at Andrea Lang Lang _official. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching.